Hey guys, welcome to the Game Precast episode 25. My name is Frank. I'm joined by Mike. This is our podcast where we talk about all things gaming. We're going to start the show off with Resident Evil Village. I think that's what me and Mike have mostly been playing for the last week. I have beaten the game once. Mike has beaten the game about 4 times. Are we going to dive into spoilers or no?
I think we should do first half non-spoiler, second half spoiler, and separate it with timestamps.
Okay.
I think that's fair.
That is fair.
All right, so you want to start?
Give me 1 second. I just want to make the second timestamp area so I don't forget to write that.
Planning ahead now.
All right, boom.
So responsible.
So yeah, I mean, obviously, I'm new to the Resident Evil franchise. I mean, I started with, it was 2, right? Well, technically it was 7. I never beat it because I was too scared. And then I went to 2, and that was a little less scary, so I was able to beat that. And then I played 3, and I had a good time with that. And then I went back to 7, and I finally beat it. And, I really enjoyed it, and I was super excited for Village when I saw it get announced. And I think it exceeded everything from 7, in my opinion. I mean, just the horror element was a little bit on the lacking side compared to 7. But gameplay felt better. I thought pacing was better compared to 7. Graphically, of course, but that's obvious. The graphics are going to get better.
Dynamite, bro. I've never seen a prettier game on an Xbox system.
Dude,
honestly, it's
just like when you get
gorgeous.
to that one section in the beginning when you're looking over the village and you see the castle in the background with all the fog and stuff. It looked so good.
Or when you're going up to the Beneviento estate.
Yes, and you just see the waterfall.
Yeah, beautiful.
And I don't know how it performed for you. I didn't have terrible
4K 60, no drops at all.
You didn't have any. I had some drops on the PS5. It wasn't anything crazy, but there were, whenever you were by the water sections, that's usually when it kind of dipped a little bit. But it wasn't that crazy, and it wasn't for that long. But yeah, I mean, a really good looking game.
Well, I will say this I just want to counter your 1 point real quick.
Go for it.
In terms of it being a better game than 7. And I obviously understand where you get that because the gameplay is far more refined than it was in 7. I mean, the shooting is improved substantially. I mean, pretty much everything about the gameplay, like we've been
enemy
saying,
variety. It's not just one fucking enemy the whole time.
Lycans are my favorite enemies in the RE series by far. I mean, I've always loved werewolves and stuff like that, and obviously Lycans aren't werewolves. I know the difference, people, but they look similar, so I just say the word. Anyways, no, I thought all that stuff was great, but when it came to narrative, I thought it was severely lacking compared to 7's. It just didn't have the same ominous aura around it. I mean, I really liked where this story went. It was definitely a natural progression from 7, and I really liked how they wrapped everything up. But I don't know. There was that fear, but there wasn't the terror. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, that's
Resident
fair.
7, I was terrified.
In the house. I mean, I was just sat in the attic for 30 minutes one day, just sitting there listening to the noise, thinking someone was going to come get me when nothing would happen.
I hear a floorboard creak. I think Jack Baber's going to come up behind me and knock my ass out with a shovel or something. I don't know. It's just like I'm constantly feeling that sense of dread. And I just felt like in Village, and I guess it makes sense because, Ethan says they have military training now and they've been, through the ringer. So obviously his abilities are going to be improved. And that's even shown in gameplay. Like the ADS time is a lot faster than it was in 7. But he can run faster as well. But it's just, I don't know. I never felt like I was trapped in Village. I always felt like I was in control of the situation.
I like the pacing a lot better in Village. I don't know if you disagree with that, but I thought the pacing was a lot better with the different areas and how each area had its own theme. And the only thing I didn't like was when you got to the point where, I don't want to spoil the actual thing, but you need to get one out of you need to get all 4, and you got the first one from the castle area, and then you need to go get the other 4, and it's kind of obvious at this point. You're like, all right, once I get the other 4, I'll be in the end game. And I mean, so you kind of know you're in the end game or where the end game's going to be before you get there. And not in 7, you didn't really know when the game was going to end. And in this one, you're like, all right, once I get those 4 things and go to those 4 areas, the map will be pretty much
7, I don't
complete
know.
it.
Like once I got to the mine in 7, I'm like, yeah, this is where stuff is gonna start to wrap up.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, definitely like when you have a counter like that and it's at 2 out of 4, you're like, okay, I'm roughly halfway through the game. I mean, I do agree with the better pacing. Do I think it's the best pacing in the franchise? No. I think it's about on par with RE4's. I think RE3 Remake, at least in my opinion, is the best pacing ever. I mean, a lot of people say it's so short, but I think because of that, it's just paced really fucking well. I mean, you
Yeah.
constantly, like, even though, like, oh yeah, Nemesis only comes after you in like certain situations and certain points in the game, that's true, but your first time through you don't feel like that because how well the pacing is, instilled in the game. You feel like he's constantly on your tail even if he really isn't. So kind of off topic, kind of not.
Yeah.
Regardless, I do agree with what you were saying about villages. I just, like I said, for me, everybody's saying like, "Oh, Village is so scary. It's so terrifying." Like, especially the dollhouse. And like, honestly, the dollhouse is the only part that actually got any emotional reaction out of me in terms of fear. Like the other times, yeah, was it intense? Sure. Was it making my heart pump a little? Yeah, but that's just from the adrenaline because shit's trying to kill me. I'm gonna survive, right? But I'm not afraid. I'm still in control of the situation. I'm not like I'll say this, in Village I picked far more gunfights than I did in 7. In 7 I ran away whenever I
Yeah.
could, and
Same.
sometimes in Village I was able to do that, but I found that they really just want to encourage you to really fight everything for the most part. And I guess that, they did want it to be less tense. They did think that impacted the sales of 7, which I think is absurd because of how well it sold, but I digress. I don't know. I really miss that element. It's why 7 is still my favorite. It's just the fear. Look, I'm a horror fanatic, so this might sound a little weird to some people, but I love being scared if it's done right. I mean, like the fear of death without the actual possible consequence of it. That's why people go on roller coasters, right? It's the same reason why people play horror games and watch horror movies.
Yeah.
Is to be in that environment without the real danger. And 7 made you feel like you were actually in danger because of how well it was done. And I just never got that dread from Village, which I thought was unfortunate. Like, does that make Village a bad game? Absolutely the fucking not. But it's just, I don't know. I should have expected this. I mean, even Capcom did say it pre-release that it was going to be less horror filled, but I don't know. As long as it isn't going after the RE6 mantra of horror entertainment, I
Yeah.
think we'll be okay. But yeah, that is one gripe I have with it because I like being scared. I like horror. I just thought that this was lacking in that department heavily.
Now, what did you think of the factory area? Because I was not, without going into
Yeah,
spoilers on
that place is
specifics, but I was not a fan of that
that
area.
killed the pacing. That killed the
Yeah,
pacing.
it
More than I
took
thought.
way too long, in my opinion. And then there's like a certain part where something happens, and I'm like, oh my god, not again. And thankfully, it isn't again. But still, it was just way too long in that area with all the different floors and all that. I
I
just,
think it just overstayed its welcome.
I agree. Like every
I
other
think
area was nice and short, and I mean, you're in the factory for I think about the same time that you're in the castle, and it's like the castle was such a cooler location in my opinion, and I wish
no, it
we would have
was
spent more time there rather than all that extra
because
time in the factory.
it was a throwback to the Spencer Mansion in
Yeah,
RE1, which I think is why a lot of people adored it. And well, I was gonna say something, and it's not really a spoiler to the casual base, but for the hardcore fans, they would probably get annoyed if they heard it. But hell, if they're a hardcore fan, they've already played it, so I'm just gonna say it. The castle is actually built by the same guy who built the Spencer
yeah, I
Mansion
remember reading that line. I saw that on
in
Reddit.
RE1.
But I
So
mean,
I mean, it's very similar to that, and that's why I think so many people love it, is because it harkens back to that original design of just locked in a mansion, get out. It's
yeah,
just it works. It
I'm
works.
just glad that the game didn't end in a lab like a lot of Resident Evil. I mean, for me, the Resident Evils that I've played, like RE2 ends in the lab, RE3 ends in the lab, and then RE7 kind of ends in a lab to a certain degree.
Mm-mm.
Yes.
Mm.
What's his name has his little lab down there, bro?
And then you leave it and go back to the main house.
Yeah, but you're still in the lab for a little bit at the end of the game.
But that's not the end game though. Like RE2R, you absolutely have a point. RE3R as well. RE7, that game ends where it starts, back in the Baker house. So I gotta disagree with you on there.
Yeah, but it's
Just
still
because you
in the
step
last
foot in
hour of game time. You're in a lab.
it's one room. It's one
I
room. You
know,
walk
but
in
dude,
one door, you go around the table, you read all the lore documents, and you walk out.
yeah, I mean it's not as
The
long as
game
the
ends in the lab.
RE2. But for me, I mean, you've played all the Resident Evil games, so I don't know about other games with the engine labs too. But for me, it was like, all right, I've played 2 Resident Evil games, and here's my third one, and it's like, oh, we're ending in a lab again, and obviously you
Well,
go back to the
6
house
does it
and deal with the
depending
thing in
on
the
the
attic.
campaign you play.
But I'm just happy
6
that
does it.
Village didn't have a, you know, similar section, and the ending was kind of unique. But I don't know. I just didn't like the factory compared to everything else in Village. That was my least favorite area.
Something I do want to praise though, real quick, is and we talked about it a little bit, but I really want to get into it. The gunplay and how satisfying it is. Now, I mean, it was great in 7 because you felt like you were kind of fumbling around with all your weaponry, and getting a single kill felt like such a massive victory because of how inexperienced Ethan is. Now you're just a trained killer, man. I love how sometimes the reticle is a little misleading as to where your shot's going to hit, but for the most part, it does go where you want it to go. And man, that impact, it feels so nice. It's popping like in heads one after the other, especially with that bolt action sniper. You just like put the cigar in your mouth and you just go and you just start popping them one after another. It is some of the most satisfying shooting gameplay I have, experienced in a long while, and I think that needs to be praised. It is phenomenal. I really love it. It was some of the most satisfying gunplay I've seen in a really long time, honestly.
It felt good.
And then the art direction as well. I want to just everything. I mean, I'm not talking about the graphics. It's just like whoever designed this game, I want to sit down and have a cup of coffee with them. I want to see how their mind works, man. I mean, like so much of this game, like you said, the castle, fucking beautiful. But I'm not even talking about the interior. The exterior too is just so ominous, and it, even though it's definitely like dark and threatening, it's also has like an inviting sense of curiosity, like you need to go in there. It's just so well made, and the village itself is so fucking beautiful. The amount of attention to detail in every single house is insane,
And
because
I
my
like how
first playthrough was like 8.5 hours, and everybody's like, oh, it'll take like 12 if you explore everything. That's if you fucking suck. I'm sorry, I explored every single square inch of that village, got the achievement for it, and beat the game in 8.5 hours. So I don't know what the fuck people are talking about, or around maybe
it
around 9.
took me like 10.5 to explore everything. So I do suck a little bit.
Well,
But
no, I'm kidding.
I know.
But
But no, I do like how like when you go to the village, it changes like every time you come back to it, kind of like so like different enemies will be
different
back, different
enemies,
bosses will respawn.
you can open new doors that you
Yep,
weren't
you
able
get
to
new
access
items.
before. But it looks like the place, like they said, we put village in the title because we treat the village as its own character. That's what Capcom said before release, and it's so true. It feels like such its own entity. I mean, every single, like, I feel like even though the entire thing is in disrepair, I feel like every prop is placed with a purpose. Every little like discarded utensil or ruined piece of paper or turned over table, whatever it may be, it just like it all feels like so lived in. You can really tell something fucking bad happened here. And it just feels very storied, very aged, like it has a lot of history. And the, like I said, art direction, phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal. I was blown away. I was blown away by how much they put into this game, how beautiful it looks, and how it's only 30 gigabytes on my hard drive. COD Warzone should take a fucking lesson from Capcom.
Yeah.
Jesus.
And I do want to note that the haptic feedback actually felt good in this game. A lot of the games with PS5, like they'll throw in haptic feedback and it won't feel that
It was
good.
terrible.
It felt good in RE8. I'll say that.
Here, let me ask you something, because I read something on Twitter today and I want to know if it's true. Some people said the adaptive triggers for Village is fucking terrible. Like, in terms of some guns taking way too long to hold down
The
LT towards the
sniper,
end.
it had a lot. Oh, I didn't have any other problems with the other guns. The other guns all felt natural. The sniper had quite a bit. And
How do I feel about that?
yeah, I mean, I got used to
That
it.
doesn't even make sense. I mean, have you ever shot like a sniper rifle in
No,
real life?
but
I mean, like, I don't understand why it would take you. Like, imagine you have a rifle out and it's just like bringing it back,
yeah, I
bringing it.
mean,
Like, no, it's just like this. You just aim in. It's not like slow and steady. Here we go. Come on. Like, no,
Yeah,
that's
so I
not
mean,
how
I
it works,
like the way.
especially if a fucking lichen is charging at you, ready to rip your throat out.
Yeah,
Like, no,
I
you're
like the way
aiming.
it felt with like, the pistol and the shotgun, but the sniper did feel a little bit weird. Maybe like a millisecond shorter, and it would have felt a lot more normal. But yeah, I mean, besides that, I did actually like it in this game, and I felt like they used it relatively well. Um,
Curious to play through it on PS5 because like my 4 playthroughs and the fifth one I started are on Xbox, but I did get a PS5 copy as well to test out the 3D audio and the haptic feedback and the adaptive triggers. So, excuse me, that's the coffee. Um, I just need to take a break from Village,
yeah,
not because I don't
that's fair.
like it. Obviously, it's just I've dumped around 30 and a half hours in under half a week in this game, so I just need to give it a little rest, especially with Mass Effect Legendary Edition coming out tomorrow. But
Yes.
I definitely intend to probably do everything I did on Xbox on PlayStation, which was because my first playthrough was on standard. Then I did another one on standard just as like a fun run to fuck everything up with infinite ammo. And then I did my third playthrough on hardcore, which I was actually kind of impressed with myself with. Like I know hardcore isn't difficult in this game because the game, well, we'll talk about the difficulty in a second because that is something I want to address. But I was able to do hardcore like first try in 2 hours 23 minutes, only using 4 less healing items and spending less than 10,000 lei. I was able to get all that done on hardcore, which
Yeah.
kind of go. And then I did Village of Shadows, which fucking nearly broke me. At the end there with Chris's. Well, I. Ooh,
You almost said a name. That's okay.
No,
You
it's
almost
okay.
you
I had
almost
to
fucked
stop.
yourself.
I
You almost
had
had
to
the
stop.
riot come to your house, but you stopped yourself. But
Certain sections of the game were bullshit, and I'll get into that more. But in the spoiler section. But before we get into that, I want to talk about the difficulty because
okay.
look, I know people are saying like, oh, well, you should have done hardcore for your first run if you want like a normal difficulty. I'm like, that's bullshit. Standard should be standard. You know what I mean? Every single time I go into a new game, apart from like some FPSs, because some, like if it's a straight FPS like Titanfall or COD or whatever, I go in on hard for the first time or whatever, just because I can't do it on regular anymore. But like standard, I'm like, okay, standard challenge. I don't want to be pushed too much on my first run, but I don't want to like just have everything handed to me. And everything was fucking handed to me. It was unbelievable. I was like, how is this standard? This should be fucking casual. I was so pissed by the end of my run because I had like 200 fucking pistol rounds that I never touched. Well, actually, no, that's not true. I was completely depleted pistol rounds. That was my second playthrough, but I had like 60 sniper rounds. I didn't fucking touch at
Yeah,
all.
I
I'm like,
had
that's not right. I should have nothing.
I had 84 bullets in my sniper by the end game. I played it on casual, and I will play games on standard usually. That's for me. Horror games is my one exception. When I played RE7 for the first time, I was like, nope, this is going on the easiest difficulty because I am a fucking pussy.
But you don't get like the same satisfaction. Like I remember
I
playing
don't,
through
dude.
RE7 my first
Fuck the
time on standard,
satisfaction. I don't care.
killing Marguerite. I literally let out a cry of relief and satisfaction.
Dude,
It was
I like when I was going into RE7. I remember reading about the difficulty, and I was like, "Oh, Jack Baker walks faster at a higher difficulty." All right, we were going on the
yeah.
lowest one, bro.
That makes a lot of sense now, thinking about my Madhouse playthrough. I didn't know about that, but I was
Yeah,
wondering how the fuck he was always on my ass.
I believe it's the same for like Mr. X and Lady Dimitrisk, or however you say her last name.
Definitely the same for Dimitrescu because she had a hard on for me on Village of Shadows. It was fucking crazy. She would not leave me the hell alone.
Yeah, so that's
Ever.
the main reason. It's not really like for me. It's more of like the ones that stalk you because I fucking just hate those things. Like I have Mr. X, dude. I fucking could not stand that. Like I am a little bitch about things when you have to do puzzles and you have something trying to attack you and you can't kill it. So
Yeah. That is another gripe I have. Look, you want to have your stalking enemy? Fine. I love Jack Baker. I do think that's the best it was ever implemented. I know people are going to try and chop my head off for it and be like, no, Nemesis in the original RE3 or Mr. X in 2 remake. I'm sorry, even though like Mr. X foot stomps are definitely terrifying, Nemesis with a lethal force in the original and kind of still is in the remake. None of them instilled the terror that Jack Baker did. I'm like, I don't want this dude to do to me what he did to that cop. Like that was always what was going through my head. But like you always have a means of stalling them. You know what I mean? You can always pump enough rounds into them and they'll like it's not a large amount of times, usually 3 to 5 seconds, but in Resident Evil, you know damn well that's enough to get the fuck away.
Yeah.
But Domatresk, you stun her, and it has to be a specific place where you shoot her in the head, and then she just adjusts her hat and then keeps moving. And then you're like, oh yeah, well she's so much more powerful. That's so cool. Blah 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 blah. Yeah, keep sucking her cock, bro. Whatever. Wait until you try and fucking get past her on a staircase when there's no other way down, and you stun her and you still can't get past her, and then she's just immediately back up on, and then do that on Village of Shadows where she two shots you or one shots you depending on what your health state is at. Go fuck yourself.
Yeah.
That's terrible game design. Look, I think she's a great enemy. I love the character, but she should be able to be stunned. Like drop her to one knee if even, but like it's a must for some stalker enemies. And I know that she only does stalk you in one area of the game. It's not like it's a constant thing.
Yeah.
But even so, you should, if you have the firepower, you should be able to like push her back a bit to give yourself some space. I
Yeah.
think that's reasonable.
Even if it's for only like a few seconds. I mean.
Yeah. But like the just the 1 second just like hat twist is just it's stupid. Like it fits her character, sure,
Yeah.
but it's not good for gameplay.
Now one thing we talked about off camera was the hunting system. I was not big on the fact that there was a set amount of things. Like, so for example, there is one part in the game where there are 3 fish, or either 2 or 3 fish in the section of the castle, and it's before you're even told about the hunting system. And then you get locked out of the area if you leave it. So, I mean, I didn't kill those fish because I didn't think you had to kill them. And even if you did kill those fish, if you go to him, you could have just sold it, get the meat out of your inventory before it even tells you about, like, oh, you can use this fish to cook meals to do permanent upgrades. So, I wasn't a fan of the fact that, like, you know, you needed, let's say, 10 fish altogether for all the upgrades. I don't know if that number's correct, but, you know, you have a set amount, and you need to get every fish in the game to get that upgrade. There's not, like, an extra amount. Like, it should have been, like, oh, you only need 10 to get everything upgraded, and there are, you know, 13 or 15 in the game, and they just didn't do it like that. And I just
I agree with the set amount. That really annoyed me because in my first playthrough, I was able to cook every single recipe in the game except the first health one.
Yeah.
I went and I got the medium and the heavy upgrade for health before I went back and got the light one. But it was because I was short on cash one time and I didn't know there was a limited amount of enemies. So I literally just, or animals. So I literally just sold 1 fish.
Yeah.
1 fish. And that screwed
you're
me
fucked.
over from getting all the recipes. And I mean, I got it immediately in my New Game Plus.
Yeah.
But even so, I mean, if you don't want to do that, you just want to get all the upgrades in one run. Why not? And I mean, there really isn't necessarily
Yeah.
a purpose of doing that. There's no achievement. There's not even a challenge in game for it. But even so, they're nice upgrades to have. They're good stat boosts, and you shouldn't be relegated to having, you know, a set amount of animals per playthrough. They should respawn. Not to an extreme degree, not
Yeah.
all the time. Like it shouldn't be farmable or anything like that, but
Exactly.
maybe like just 1 or 2 extra spots per animal. Maybe not even 2, just 1. Just
Or
like
at least
give
just having it, like, so you could backtrack and get to the ones if you get locked out, or just have, like, 1 extra spot, like you said. But, yeah, I mean, that was my main gripe with it. I mean, it definitely wasn't required and beat the game. I mean, sure, the extra speed boost for me would have been nice if I had it, but it definitely wasn't required.
definitely is on Village of Shadows. I'll tell you
No.
that right now. You need that shit. You
Yeah.
want to stay alive because you get 2-shotted by everything in that difficulty. It's crazy. But yeah. We ready to move into spoilers? Or?
I have one final thing, I believe. A storage system now. Now, I never played RE4, but I guess supposedly this is how it is in RE4. I wasn't big on the fact that we didn't have, like, a case. Because I like to hoard my weapons, and I was like, oh, I gotta sell them. And you can rebuy them, but if I think you rebuy them, you lose the upgrades.
Nope.
You don't? I was under the impression that you lose the upgrades. All right, then that's
all the
actually not as
attachments
bad.
you put on, all the upgrades you
Okay.
installed.
I thought you would have had to repurchase everything. I thought it was going to be real. I mean, once I sold my items, I stuck with my new ones, so it wasn't like the end of the world, but I still prefer to be a hoarder and just throw everything in a box.
I get that, but I think it's, you know, just adds another level of tension. Like, you can't have everything you want. Fuck you. Decide.
But you can have every crafting material you want.
You can't that. that surprised the shit out
Yeah.
of me because I was picking up all these herbs and chem fluid. And I'm like, how is my inventory not full? And then I open, I'm like, where the hell is my chem fluids and my herbs? And they're just not there. And like playing RE4, that shit's ingrained in my mind. Like, okay, keep your herbs in this one corner. As soon as you get a red, a green, and a yellow, combine it. Hell, if you need more plants, you combine green, 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 red, red, yellow. Shit, there's blue plants as well to negate poison. Like I like
Yeah.
I had the worst time managing health items in RE4, but but it made it for a more satisfying experience because I felt all the more, I don't want to necessarily say in control, but I felt like okay, it's more immersive, I guess. I mean, just like picking up all these things and just like, yeah, you can carry infinite of them. Where do they go? Like, and I guess a lot of people might not care about that, but like as a massive survival horror fan, I do. I don't like the idea of just carrying all this shit
Your
around
back
on me. And it's
pocket.
just like I could never, possibly hold this much weight in real life. And like, yeah, that was just a very dumbed down feature for this, entry, and I think it was to appeal more to the casual base. It's just look like the stuff like the rusted scrap and the metal scrap, like I get because there's a lot of that in the game. If you want to have it infinite, like infinite storage for those two things, whatever, because they are new crafting materials that haven't been in any of the other games, at least to my knowledge. But well, actually, no, I think one of the Revelations games had it. Anyways, I don't know. I
Yeah.
felt like it made it again too easy. I don't
That is
like
a fair point. I kind of agreed. I'm looking at my thing. And I'm like, oh, I have 13 bottles of the healing stuff, and it's like,
my Village of Shadows playthrough, I still had 10 left. I walked into the final. Well, actually, I think a little bit more than that. I walked into the final fight with Miranda like with 16,
yeah,
and and again, that was great for the difficulty, but obviously I didn't need that much. I still had double digits left over. It was kind of crazy, and the amount of ammo that you find in the world is kind of sparse. So I understand why you can buy ammo and craft it from the Duke, but I don't know. I feel like they really made so much of this game too easy. And again, I'm not saying that I don't like the game. I love the game. I mean, it's my game of the year. I do personally believe it's a 10 out of 10. Do I think that's the objective score? Probably not. But, in my heart personally, in my opinion, that's how I feel. But there are a lot of things this game does that is concerning me because it's kind of leaning back into that RE5,
yeah.
heavy action.
Well, they want to appeal to the masses.
And I have nothing against RE5. As a matter of fact, that was the first Resident Evil game I ever played. That's what got me into the franchise, playing that with my friends. But
Yeah,
I definitely like, the old school survival horror the best. It's why even after playing this game 4 times, 7 is still by far my favorite out of the two. I mean, just the level, it never reaches that same level of tension, of fear, of intensity. I don't know.
it's
I,
fair.
I wish I could say I don't know why they did it, but I know exactly why they did it, and that's what's concerning me even more. Because if this sells better than 7 quicker,
It is gonna
are
sell.
they gonna just take that as a sign to go, oh, we need to go more into action, and then this RE renaissance is gonna end as quickly as it began. That's what concerns me because they saw a success of 5. Because keep in mind, RE5 was their best-selling game, Capcom's best-selling game until Monster Hunter World came out. Right? So
Yeah,
that's a long time to have best-selling game. That's why they went so far into like the action elements of 6 because they're like, "Oh, I guess this is what people want." And I
I
hope just because Village is a quality game, Capcom, I think they might ignore that fact and just focus on the action elements drawing, the more sales in instead of just the quality of the gameplay increasing. They're going to read it as, oh, people like more gunfights, people like more enemies, people like way more boss fights, people like way more explosions. We're going down a dangerous road. I
yeah.
don't
I mean, I
I
just
don't
hope that they
think
mix it well and like give a good mix of keeping the horror and good gameplay. That's all they
they
need to
need
do. Will
to
they
aim
actually do it? Who knows? But
because they like going overboard when they're succeeding at one after the other because people are like oh my god, RE5 ruined the franchise. And I'm like, well, if you actually blame RE5, you should blame RE4 because that's what first introduced these elements
Yeah.
into Resident Evil. And I kind of see history repeating itself with Village. So I think, I don't know, RE9 might be co-op. And if it is, RE10 will be dog shit, my friend.
Now,
Well, maybe not dog shit because I actually like 6, but it's not a Resident Evil game. And if I didn't play it with a co-op partner, I'd fucking hate it. So,
let's move into how crazy some stuff in the ending is. So this is officially
spoiler.
spoiler territory. I'm writing down the
All right,
timestamp
back
right
out
now.
now because I am going
We
to
are at the
fucking
30
say
minute
something.
mark.
You make the timestamp. I'm gonna say something.
Go for it. Timestamp is there.
Ethan's death broke my fucking heart. I
Dude,
could not
that twist, I
deal with
could not
that
believe
shit.
that he died in 7.
I could believe it. Everything clicked in that
It
moment.
did. As soon as they said it,
Everything
it made
clicked.
sense. Like, but it was like, oh my god, the amount of times his fucking body parts have just been chopped off and he just grows right back.
I was
Like
talking
finding
about
out that he
Ethan's
was mold.
permanent death. I was talking about Ethan's permanent death.
Oh,
That
all
shit
right. I
broke.
thought you were talking about the first death.
No, that fascinated the fuck out of me. No, but Ethan dying permanently. That
Yeah.
fuck. And seeing Chris's guilt, that
Now,
fucking fucked with me
all right,
even
here's my
more.
one thing. I was just thinking, like, from a realistic standpoint, you have this man, Ethan, who's like dying, bro. He might just, black out any second. He's going into the freaking death area, right? And he's the one who has the clicker. What if this man gets like knocked out or like passes out, and he has the detonator now? Now no one fucking blows that shit up. Like, shouldn't have Chris still had it? Like,
I think you're underestimating the tenacity of this man, Ethan. After all he's been
I don't
through,
know,
to
man.
save his daughter, his best friend, and his wife, you think he really wouldn't just keep on pushing till the end?
If he just blacks out,
Come
he
on.
blacks out. I mean,
He's not gonna do that. It's Ethan fucking Winters. Why are you being so
and
disrespectful?
the
The
minute
man's
he
only been dead for
dude
a few
blows it up,
days.
they're like not even like how do they? How does Ethan know like the size of the bomb and how big it's gonna blow up? Like, what if they need to get away? Like 10 seconds away, 15 seconds away. Ethan just like goes into it, instantly blows
Matter.
it up. The
I
chopper is
mean,
like barely even gone.
the Mega Mycete, it's you gotta stop it. He was thinking about saving his daughter. He's thinking about keeping this fucking pestilence from spreading through the world. It was just look. I mean, if you're gonna question things like that, I mean, you can nitpick like that with every single game
The
that's
the
ever been
trans
made.
the transformer fight, bro.
Okay, I get why people didn't like that. I can't. I
That
don't
was just
really have.
so. It
Look, I
was
love that fight. My first playthrough, Village of Shadows made me hate it
really. It was that bad.
because. Oh, even if you block, you can only take 4 hits before you
Oof.
die, and you cannot heal. So
I can't believe my
I
man Chris just built that shit in the
I
fucking
was
basement, like
I
with no
was
tools, like an Iron Man.
dude, I was fucking raging. I was raging during that part. And the other part I was talking about, Chris's part with the orbital laser, where you have to strike the Mega Mycete 3
Yeah.
times. On Village of Shadows, dude, I was saying some obscene shit. I will not lie. I was mad. I was fucking mad.
I mean, that's fair,
But
bro. I was getting mad and I was playing on easy difficult, so.
but you know, just Ethan's sacrifice, it was expected, but it hurt. It hurt a lot because I mean, how could it not? I mean,
Yeah, I
just
mean, that's
pushing
fair.
through so much with this guy for the past 2 games, and yes, you succeed. Yes, you rescue your daughter, but you can't help but feel like, okay, Ethan, let's go. We're gonna get you out of this.
Yeah,
Like,
I mean, Ethan's character sucked in 7. I was not a big fan of him in 7, but in
I
8,
see.
he
I
grew
don't
on me so
agree with
much.
that. I don't agree with that at all. He didn't suck in 7. He was the vessel for the player, and then in 8, they decided to expand upon that, while still, you know, having character development for Ethan himself. And I think they found a good mix of that because I still found myself, highly immersed as Ethan. I have never felt as connected with an RE protagonist as I have with Ethan because of how little he's talked in 7. Really feel like I could put myself in his shoes. And
Yeah.
then that naturally progressed into 8 and as a bonus Ethan gets developed at the same time, and not only do I end up feeling as immersed, I care about him so much more by the end of this game. So I have to disagree with you on that, but I do get where you're coming from.
Yeah, I mean, I did really like him in 8. I liked the actual development that he got. Like, he's actually felt more human. So I thought that was really cool. Um, so what do you think about the ending? With,
thought it was brilliant. I mean, there are so many things that are going to be going down now. Like the BSAA is developing bioweapons and becoming the very thing that they swore to destroy. That
Yeah.
was crazy. You know the original ending of that, like that gauntlet where you play as Chris, because that was fucking insane. That blew my mind. That was the best gauntlet I've ever played in a Resident Evil game, because everyone has one at the end, whether it's um whatever the fuck you go through before the volcano in 5, whether it's the island in 4, whether it's the mine in
Well, I just
7,
thought it was so dope. It felt like a
it was
Call of
so
Duty
dope.
mission. Like I texted you that. I said I'm playing COD right now. Like it just felt like so cool, tactical. We get the cool gun, the night vision. You have a whole
Love
team with
Chris's
you.
squad too. Fucking K9, Umber Eyes, like these guys are straight operators, man. I
Yeah,
fucking love 'em. And it was supposed to be such a more fleshed out part. Like you were actually supposed to play originally as every single member of the squad completing different objectives
that'd be dope.
as you move through the village. Yeah, I mean, these guys are so cool, man. Like I don't know because we don't even like yeah, they're working for Blue Umbrella still. And now it seems like Umbrella's going to be the good guys and BSA are going to be the bad guys, which is really fucking interesting to see. Um, but yeah, no, you were supposed to play as all of them, and there was something else. There was something else that was supposed to be different. Oh yeah, you were supposed to actually engage the BSAA as well. Like you were
That's
supposed
cool.
to fight them instead of
Yeah, I
just
remember
the
seeing
light,
concept art. It was supposed to be like a three-way battle kind of thing.
which I think would have been way cooler. But I imagine they had to cut it for production costs or time or
Yeah.
some reason. But I thought that gauntlet could have been way cooler after I found out the original
Now,
concept. And
speaking
then
of cut
same with
content.
Ada Wong. Are you going to
Yeah,
talk about
well,
Ada
no,
Wong?
I
It's
wasn't.
supposed
I
to
was
be-
actually supposed to talk, but that was one thing that got cut. She got cut, and then another piece of cut content was supposedly the Duke was supposed to be another Lord. He was supposed
it's
to be a
supposed to
fifth
be the Fifth
Lord.
Lord. But they cut that early on.
Yeah,
Yeah, and same thing with Ada because she's actually supposed to rescue you during the trial when you first meet the Four Lords and they try and decide what to do with you. She's supposed to swoop in and grab you, but they said it would lead to too many conflicting scenarios, which I believe,
yeah,
especially with Chris being in there.
yeah.
So
That's fair.
I like what we got. Obviously, because Chris Redfield is my favorite Resident Evil character ever. I love seeing more of Chris. I love playing as him again because it was, even though we got to in 7, it was way too fucking long to play as actual Chris because I love his redesign. I have the statue right there. I'm never fucking moving it. It's so dope. I mean, just can look. Chris in this game was awesome. First of all, I want to talk about who played him. Jeff Shine, who plays Carlos in RE3R, blew my fucking mind when I found that out because I'm like, this guy's voice is so fucking familiar, but it still sounds like Chris Redfield. Like I don't like who is this? And I should have put it together sooner, but I was just so focused on the game I wasn't even thinking about the fucking actors, obviously. Um, but it is also cool that Jeff Shine plays Chris and Nicole Tompkins, who plays Jill in RE3, plays Elena, the
Yeah,
villager, and Daniela, I believe. One of Lady Dimitrescu's daughters. Um, and they did a great job, but really, Jeff Shine, look, Roger Craig Smith is the classic Chris Redfield for me because I grew up playing like 5 and everything, but fuck, this is my favorite Chris Redfield. I really like
he
David
was
Vaughn
cool.
in 7. I thought people really shitted on him just because Capcom decided to give him a redesign. I don't think that was reflective of the actor's work. I thought he did a really good voiceover, but Jeff Stein fucking killed it, man. Like this is Chris Redfield now. Like
Yeah, I
his
mean, he felt
performance
like a real
is so
human too.
believable, so emotional. Yeah, and that's what people understand. It's like, why didn't Chris tell Ethan?
I don't
Chris
know,
is
bro.
a flawed fucking character, man. That's why. This guy makes mistakes. He's not perfect. He's not some fucking hero. His DLC is literally called Not a Hero.
Yeah,
He never fucking like praises himself like that. He never expects any recognition. He's just a soldier in this fight that's been going on for over half his life at this point. And he makes mistakes. He is flawed, but he does still have character development in this game because he fucking owns up to it, which he hasn't done.
yeah,
And it was fucking great. It was fucking great. I have nothing. It was so good to see that shit, to see Chris grow again, and just to see him have such a prominent role. And even when I thought he was a villain, he was fucking sinister,
he
man.
was. He
Like
when he
when you
just comes
find
in
him
the
at the
intro
lake,
and
when
he
you
just
find him at
pushes
the
you.
lake, he's just standing there and it's like, Ethan, I'm surprised you made it this far. It's
Yeah,
just like it's dope, man. It's so dope, and his design is fucking awesome too. Like the fucking jacket and this the whole black loadout. I mean, and he actually looks like Chris again. And I will say I don't necessarily like his haircut. I saw a haircut that they had for him in the concept art. I know this is a fucking nothing criticism, believe me, but I saw like a style in the concept art that was kind of a mix between like a modern hairstyle but still away from that bowl cut, but kind of, paying homage to it. And it was just I like that a lot better. But I it's a fucking nothing criticism, like I
Yeah.
said. So
Now, to cap off the discussion, I want to talk about RE9 expectations. Now, obviously, we talked about your concerns about action and all that, but let's focus on the
I
story
mean,
for
I
a
wasn't
second.
done with RE.
Oh, you got more?
I got a lot more,
Oh
man. I
shit.
mean, not a crazy amount. I'll keep it tame, but I love the four lords. I really want to talk about that. I
Okay.
thought they're really well done. Dimitrescu is not my favorite. Heisenberg is, and I know a lot of people are hating on Heisenberg, but I just thought he was fucking cool. I mean, like, yes, the voice acting could have been a little bit better. There's something a little off with his voice. I don't really know what it was, but he kind of grew over me on subsequent playthroughs. I thought he's funny. Like, when you first meet him and the propeller dude's downstairs, he's like, "Shut your fucking hole." He's just like, "Sorry about that."
And then when he places the chair right there, I knew it was gonna happen. Like
No, but
I
what surprised me is when he kicks out, he
he
grabs you and he
grabs you.
actually gives you another chance to join him,
Yeah.
which is another thing. Heisenberg's my favorite because not only is he some crazy machination of like Jigsaw X Dr. Frankenstein, and even himself, he's like Frankenstein's monster as well because he has like metal internal organs, I believe,
Yeah.
in the lore. But just he's a crazy combination, and I just found his motivations to be far more intriguing and compelling than the other lords because he is a selfish prick. He never wanted to be a lord under Miranda. He was just kind of brought into this. Even when you're fighting against him, he's like, I was a goddamn freedom fighter. Like he misses his past. He hates what was torn from him, and he wants revenge. He's not a blind loyal servant like the other two, even though Moreau is a helpless romantic. Domatresk is a power-hungry maiden, and fucking Donna and Angie are just tortured souls of children,
Yeah.
essentially. This guy is just, no, I want fucking revenge. I want out. I'm not part of your fucking crazy cult, bitch. And I love that about him. And I love how he's trying to take charge and be defiant. And I like him the most for that. And I think a lot of people are ignoring that. Just like because of Giant Vampire Lady.
Yeah.
I
That's
get
fair.
it. You want to be stepped on. I want to be stepped on too, fellas. Believe me. But I just found the dynamic with Ethan Heisenberg and just Heisenberg's, like I said, his motivations to be far more compelling than the other lords. Um, yeah, his boss fight though, bit stupid. I
Yeah.
will say it was cool again my first playthrough, and then after that I was just kind of like, what is this? Um, what else do I have to say? I thought you were gonna fight Moreau in a boat. Surprising me that you didn't,
Yeah. I did too.
because that was an RE4 thing, but I'm kind of glad they didn't because the boat controls suck in Village. I mean, obviously, you use it for such a little amount of time, it doesn't necessarily matter, but it's still garbage, like
Yeah.
using one stick for every single action in the boat. It feels very jagged and stiff. But regardless, I enjoyed Moreau's area as well. I thought that was a nice harken back to RE4, like the castle was to RE1, and
Yeah.
so on and so forth. I think they pay homage to a lot of their history throughout this game. And one thing I really need to talk about, how it brings it all back to RE1. Miranda being Spencer's mentor, him getting the umbrella symbol from the cave.
That's cool.
It's like I just wish they didn't do it in a fucking document that you could miss. Like
Yeah.
I read, I don't want to say I read every document in my first playthrough, but I was so pissed because literally going in blind, I didn't look up where any of them were. I read 46 out of 47. I
Ooh.
was so mad. And then I got the 47th as soon as I went back on my second playthrough. But because of that, I mean, like, I just had such a greater understanding of the story. And again, if you play this game, you got to read the documents. You
Yeah.
have
I
to.
read most of them.
It just adds so much to the narrative, to the overall lore of the franchise. I mean, especially with this, like, we know where, you know, Oswald got his ideas from. It was from Miranda's quest for a united world under the Kaidu, the parasite, the Megamycete. So that's what Spencer was going for. And the logo of Umbrella came from the symbol here. So we don't even really know where the Umbrella logo comes from. It's something primordial, which is very interesting. And then it even links to RE5, where he tells her about the progenitor virus in Africa that that he found in Africa that is just the genesis of all the different parasites, even the megamycete in Romania here in Village. It's just, I love how they connect it all back. But one, again, I don't like how it's in a document, and two, I don't like Chris's reaction. He's just like, okay. Like, bro, what do you mean?
Yeah.
Like, what do you mean? This is supposed to be like a massive revelation to you. But I guess I don't know. At least there is the connection, I guess.
Yeah.
And then I suppose I don't want to go on for too long here, so there's really only one thing I want to talk about, which will lead into your expectations for RE9, the epilogue with Rosemary.
Yeah.
She clearly has powers from the mold. Um, Powers that not even Chris is aware of. I believe she's going to be the main protagonist from here on out. And I think it's going to I think she's going to honor Ethan. I think she's going to embody his traits. And I think she's going to be a good protagonist, I believe. And I think we're going to see some cool abilities if we get to play as her, apart from firearms and,
Yeah.
bladed weapons. I think we're going to get to actually play as a BOW, essentially, which
Well, she
would
could
be
also
great.
be bad. That was the other option
I
I
don't,
was thinking.
I don't
I'm
think
leaning
that.
towards that she's going to be the protagonist, but the other part of me was thinking maybe you play as Chris and she is,
I don't think so. I think she's like being trained by Chris to kind of take over.
No, I agree though. That makes
Um,
sense.
and actually, yeah. Well, one last thing. The fact that Ethan did die in 7, I know we glossed over that earlier. That was fucking insane. It explained pretty much everything. Everything clicked at that moment. The fact that he's literally mold. I mean, it explains why he just reattaches limbs so easily, why he regens. I mean, why? And you get hints to it too, like when Lady Dimitrescu, like,
Says the blood is
sucks your
stale.
blood. She's like little stale, and you're just like, oh, I guess because I've just been have the literal shit beaten out of me over and
Yeah,
over
but
and
no,
over
you've
again.
been dead for a year or two.
And the subtle little hints like that, I love, and then just having it all, it just everything rushed back in at that moment and clicked perfectly into place. And I
The
thought,
Dr. Frankenstein guy, Heisenberg, he had a note, I'm sure you read it, saying about like something about Ethan's body. And I thought it was just mentioning how Ethan's just a good fighter and all that, but it was obviously referring to the mold and all that. So just
it's
little
great.
things like that are cool.
Oh, and another thing, which is kind of scary, but one last thing I kind of want to mention: Wesker might be alive, and Village might have confirmed it. And I really don't know how to feel about that. Because on Heisenberg's board, there's a picture of an individual who bears a striking facial resemblance to Albert Wesker, with bone structure and everything. Definitely older, longer hair, but he's wearing those same goddamn sunglasses. And I just, do I want Wesker to stay dead so the franchise can continue to progress? Yes. But if I said I wouldn't be happy if Wesker showed up in 9 or 10 and was revealed to be controlling everything from the shadows this entire time and he faked his death, and then we finally get a final showdown with him and Chris, and maybe they kill each other or Chris kills him and then he retires, but either way it ends. I
Be
would be a
cool.
liar if I said I didn't want that to
Be
happen.
cool.
It would be very cool. So I'm conflicted. I don't know, but we'll see in either 9 or 10 because those are both confirmed from the Capcom leaks that came out earlier
Now, what
this year.
games is Wesker in?
Wesker,
He's in one, and what
he's
else?
one, Code Veronica. Um, he is in 4, but not in 4. He's part of the Ada Wong DLC that I can't
Okay.
remember the name of
Because
because they
I'm thinking that they'd
argued
wanna.
for Wesker in 4, and then he dies in 5.
Uh,
But Umbrella Corps, that fucking garbage game, hinted at him being alive if you played through it all. But that game I don't think is considered canon. At least I fucking hope it's not
yeah.
because it's terrible. But
I don't know. I was thinking that they might want to, if it was just like one in Code Veronica, remake those games and then have him make his return, so then new characters are familiar with him. But I don't.
he'll probably show up in 4 if they remake the Ada Wong DLC with the RE4 remake, which they better fucking do. We'll see remade Wesker. But I'm also the mindset that we should get a Code Veronica X remake before an RE4 remake. Like, absolutely we should. But I don't think Capcom's going to necessarily go for that because RE4 will bring in more money. Even though I think Code Veronica would definitely benefit the most out of a remake, especially
Yeah.
since RE4 is still highly playable. I mean, get it for your Xbox One, play it in 4K 60, or your PS4, whatever. Play it on your fucking Nintendo Switch. Like,
Yeah.
RE4, even though it's an '04 game. I mean, it was a game changer. It paved the way for over-the-shoulder third-person shooters, and I mean, it's still just so good. Just works. We don't need a remake yet. So remake, one of the old school top-down tank control ones. Bring it to
Yeah,
this new style with the RE engine, because a lot of people have not played Code Veronica, and I guarantee you it will sell like fucking hotcakes.
I agree. I mean, I want to check it out definitely. Um, yeah, I think does that conclude our discussion on Village
For now. Yeah,
for
until they
now?
drop some DLC or updates or whatever.
Yeah. Alrighty. Well, all I have to say is right now it's my game of the year, and I think it's your game of the year right now. Right?
Yeah.
I
Oh,
think
fucking.
it will change if Starfield comes out for me, but
Even if Starfield comes out, it won't change for me.
yeah,
I don't think so.
I gotta see, but still a lot of
Unless
time left in this year.
Obsidian is like, hey, we're dropping KOTOR 3 or New Vegas 2. Like, I think that's the only thing at this point that could usurp it. Even with how hyped I am for Mass Effect Legendary Edition, remasters don't count towards Game of the Year.
That's fair. All right,
Remakes do, remasters don't.
let's move on into our next topic. So earlier last week, I believe, yeah, it was earlier last week, Ubisoft came out and said that they're making a free Division game called Heartland, which was intriguing, and they announced they're doing the movie and all that, which we've already known about. But the free to play game was, kind of interesting, right? We hear about that, and we're like, oh, maybe it's a battle royale, maybe like an MMO kind of thing where it's only in like a certain area. But then they come out and have a new report during earnings, and they say that they're moving on from releasing 3 to 4 AAA games a year, and they want to start focusing on high-end free-to-play games. And then later, obviously the internet freaks out, and then they came out again and said that the free-to-play push does not mean there's going to be less premium games. They want to still
Yeah.
keep things diverse, and they want to continue with some AAA, but also have more free-to-play games, and it's concerning.
Well, yeah, because first of all, let's just dissect that one statement right there where they said it's not going to impact their premium titles.
It's
Of course it
definitely going
is.
to impact it, yeah.
Like, what are you talking about? You're going to develop more free-to-play games while maintaining the same output of premium games without, substantially increasing your workforce? Doesn't make any fucking
Dude,
sense.
their games are already grindy.
They're already dog shit.
They're
I mean,
already
like,
grindy, like over.
with microtransactions.
They're too long as it is. They're repetitive, and adding in this free to play stuff is only gonna make things even more repetitive.
Their own investors were like, "Hey," like during the call, like, "What? Like, are you sure?"
And sure, you can make a lot of money, but I don't know. It's concerning. You obviously have to wait and see. You can't just like condemn them right now and go execute them.
But we can't. But we can because look at the quality of their recent releases. All I have to say is Watch Dogs fucking Legion, bro. And that was a $60, $70 release.
Yeah, could you imagine free to play Watch Dogs? Like,
I would sooner blow my fucking brains out over that wall right there.
yeah, like I'm not gonna play these free to play games. I mean, if they're gonna be like, oh, here's a new story in this game, but you have to like grind out this objective and get like 60 hacks or some shit. It's just gonna be stupid. I don't know.
And they said all franchises. It's like free to play Far Cry. Get the fuck out of here. I know we shouldn't be using this much profanity, especially in one section of the show. But what the fuck am I supposed to do?
I mean,
I'm a New Jersey Italian male. I get heated over bullshit. Dude, this is.
It's like I don't want to.
This is. It's fucking.
I don't want to condemn me. I want to wait and see how they're going to do this, because they could do it if they do the Warzone route, which I'm not saying the Call of Duty Warzone route is great, because it's not great. It's great for Activision. They're making a shit ton of money. But if you do something like, all right, you release Far Cry 6, and then you're like, all right, well, here's Far Cry 6, but we also have a free-to-play multiplayer mode on this, and they just make multiplayer free instead of charging it with the game, then that might be acceptable to me. And you got to obviously wait. You got to see how they're going to do it. But it's definitely right to be concerned.
These people, look, man. I mean, just like, I haven't even gone back to AC Valhalla, and I'm nowhere near beating it. The quality of their games has fucking plummeted. If that was
their first DLC is coming out today, I think.
Who cares, man? Who the hell? Who didn't buy the season pass pre-launch or at launch? Who the fuck is going out and buying that DLC today? Barely anybody.
I might.
Besides
I'm
this
not
guy
100%.
right here.
I might. I mean, I enjoyed Valhalla. I beat it. I didn't love it, but I enjoyed it enough. Will I
It's got
get the
so
DLC
boring
now?
to me.
Probably not. I'm gonna. I mean, I played Valhalla on Uplay Plus. I only paid $15 for it for a month. And well,
Worth
I
it
put
for
another
that
$15
price.
for the deal. I mean, the DLC cost $25 to buy. Would I buy it for 25? Absolutely not. Would I pay $15 for it? I don't know. I'm still unsure about that.
$5 for the
No,
season pass or just the individual DLC
for the
itself?
DLC, not the season pass.
You're fucking kidding
No,
me.
I swear
I
to God.
think they're adding a new
But
map in Ireland or
yeah,
Northern
it
Ireland.
is Ireland, and it's a new map, which looks cool. But I mean, like for me, I'll wait probably, and I'll just like wait until the Rainbow Six Quarantine or Far Cry 6 comes out.
You're
And then
playing Quarantine.
yeah, whatever the name of the game is called.
That's all you for the site. I'm not touching that fucking abomination. Not with a
But I mean,
10-foot
I'll wait for that, and then I'll just pay $15 for Uplay Plus, check it out, see if I like those games, and then hop into the DLC then and play it then. But would I pay $25 for it? No, I would not.
No.
So
Unless you're missing your frontal lobe. Yeah, I can't see why you would. I just look, and I don't want to be this harsh. I'm tired of it. I'm fucking tired of it. Look, I've been playing Ubisoft games for as long as I can fucking remember. And they're dog shit now. They're just straight dog shit. I mean, look, people are like, "Oh yeah, there's some redeeming qualities, sure." But are they the same games that they were making 5 years ago? No. And are those games that they were making 5 years ago the same they were making 5 years before that? Fuck no. There has been a gradual and consistent, that's the worst part of it, consistent decline of their quality. And it has not rebounded. It hasn't. I mean, look, I know a lot of people liked Far Cry 5, but I thought that was the worst fucking game in the series. Truly. I don't like where they're going with it at all, and I hope 6 actually gives us an actual fucking protagonist. They better, but I don't
I don't
think
feel
they
that
will.
confident about that.
I'll tell you something. I'm not playing that game in fucking co-op either. Like, yeah, it's fun if you want it, but 4 did it the best. It's just like you can mess around with your buddy, but it's not heavily instilled or encouraged. And like 5, it's just like, oh, set up a lobby, invite your friends. It's like piss off.
Yeah,
The
I get where you're
DLC
coming from.
so bad too. Besides the Vietnam one, but even that one was dog shit.
Oh, I
because
didn't even play the DLC.
They charge you $10 for an hour and a half of content.
Yeah.
Like, where do you get the balls? And then Valhalla is literally the exact same shit as Origins and Odyssey, just not as compelling, at least to me. I thought the fucking setting could have been way cooler, but they botched it. Everything looks the same. It's so boring.
Yeah.
And the loot isn't worth going after at all. And now there's half of the game's armor, or over half, are purchasable through microtransactions instead of being earned in game in a single player experience. Are you fucking mad?
Yes,
Like,
they are.
I can't deal, like, you see why I can't deal with this shit anymore? It's
Yeah.
insane. And now you are taking franchises that you've already pilfered to their last fucking drachma. You have literally drained them of their heart and soul, and now you are going to fucking desecrate their graves by digging them up and letting anyone with a fucking console or PC just go into them.
Yeah.
It's disgusting. And look, I understand people don't have money to pay for premium releases, and that is why free to play exists. And I do understand the necessity of free to play games. I'm not ignorant to that fact at all. But you should not sacrifice your premium titles for this, because that's what the majority of people fucking play. And there will always be better free to play experiences out there provided by more competent developers than Ubisoft. I can assure you. Like, their most successful free to play game, Brawlhalla, they only acquired. They didn't even make that themselves. And they just slapped their logo on
Yeah,
it.
I
And
mean, like
it's
the
like,
Hyperscape game, that game flopped.
bombed. And they cited both of those. Like, they're lying to their investors. Well, not lying, but they're being highly deceptive, because they're like, yeah, we'll learn lessons from Hyperscape, sure. But they were really saying, like, but we've already had a free-to-play success. Can't talk when I'm fucking ranting. Success in Brawlhalla. And I'm like, that's not your success. You hijacked that success.
Yeah.
And you made it technically your own, but we all know it's not. And it's just, I cannot stand their shit anymore, because look, I really like Division, in Division 2 in particular, but they already monetized the hell out of that. And what, you're going to stop making content for Division 2 because you're going to focus on Division Heartland? What about people that paid for Division 2 and then the expansions and then the events and then your fucking microtransactions?
Yeah, I mean, they're claiming that they're gonna still support Division 2, but I don't believe that. Yeah.
Bullshit. That's a fucking lie, bro.
All their
That's a
focus
lie.
will be on Heartland.
Yeah, and that's the thing. If, God forbid, one of these free-to-play games is actually successful. Does that mean the end of premium titles in that franchise? Probably. Imagine there's a free-to-play Far Cry, like a battle royale or some shit. And because so many people are uncultured, they like it. And then we don't get any more single-player Far Cry games that even make an attempt to return to form because we just have this pale imitation. I mean, look at how much mainline Call of Duty has suffered because of fucking Warzone. It's the same thing.
Well, it was
Like,
suffering before Warzone. To
I
be
know,
fair.
but even now, it's like so much of the focus has left like the main game for this battle royale nonsense. And I'm like, where are my quality single player campaigns? Cold War was good, but the future's uncertain, especially with how apparently tenuous the development of COD 2021 has been and how much of a fucking disaster that is. And now, like, this shit is bleeding into other shit. Because now we have Halo saying its multiplayer is going to be free, which I guess is fine, but and this happened before, but like if that succeeds, do we not get another fucking Halo game for 10 years? It's like this shit disgusts me to my
Yeah.
core. I like my single player experiences. I like paying $60 for a fucking game and that's it. Unless it's really good and I want to play the DLC that may be released after the fact. I just want the one and done purchase. I don't want to be fucking bled like livestock over years for continuous content in a game that never improves and is just like being bloated with content for the sake of content, which was exactly AC Valhalla's fucking problem. And now they're going to try and make that free to play? Fuck them, cool. Get the fuck out of here. Get the fuck out of here, bro. I'm sorry. Rant over.
All
But you
right.
cannot say a single thing I just said was incorrect.
No, you
I
are
mean,
right.
you can't be wrong. And probably a corporate lobbyist. Fuck off.
Yeah, I just cashed my check from Ubisoft. Go support Heartland, guys. Coming out September 24th.
I'll play. Wait, it's coming out
No, no,
this
no,
year?
no, no. It is coming out this year, and there's no date. I didn't actually get a check from Ubisoft, guys. But no, it is coming out this year, according to them. They're saying it's a 2021 game, so we'll see. We'll probably find out about it in a few weeks. But
Like they've already destroyed like franchises like Rainbow Six. I mean, look, I get people love Siege, and if you like it, sure. But you want to know
it's
what?
not what
That's
it
not
used to
Rainbow
be.
Six. That's not Rainbow Six at all. You think, oh, it's so realistic because there's a one-shot headshot. Play Vegas 2, and you will cry by how much you get fucking dropped because that game has realistic bullet damage. It has realistic body armor mechanics. It is a tactical FPS. Siege is a fucking gimped bitch version of that. It is so dumbed down, so casual. People would cry if they played the original Rainbow Six Siege, like Raven Shield Critical Hour. They would fucking break down these Siege players. And now you're putting fucking zombies into this game, and I'm even more offended because I love Tom Clancy's novels, and the man is dead, and you're desecrating his name. And God forbid that game's a fucking success. And then they turn it free to play or make a free to play version, then Rainbow Six becomes a fucking zombie game.
I mean, I could
I
see
can't.
Quarantine being free to play. I honestly,
I
I
can't
think
even
it is
deal.
going to be free to play.
It gets me so heated. Fuck, I'm sweating, man. I'm sweating.
All
This
right.
shit gets me
All
so
right.
mad.
Before Mike has a heart attack, guys, let's move on to our next topic.
Jesus, they got no fucking respect for their own legacy franchises.
They just don't care.
Watch them bring back Splinter Cell free to play. The world will burn. It like, yeah. I need to stop before I have a stroke.
Pay $15 for a pink suit. All right. Up next, our final topic is not really a news topic. It's more of a discussion piece, but it wasn't really a crazy week, so I wanted to include it into.
As long as it's gonna be a calm discussion, I'm all for it.
Yeah, it's. I mean, you've already seen it. And you didn't rage in the Twitter DMs, so I think it should be a fair discussion. So Gabe Newell was at a high school hosting a Q&A, and he said that Steam and Valve games could be coming to consoles, and there will be an announcement later this year. Now,
Yeah,
we
I
don't
just
know what
laughed.
this means. Wait, this
Like,
could mean a few things. This could mean they're making their own console, or make it a PC kind of thing. This could mean that they are.
I'll buy it for the record.
Like this could be Half-Life Alyx coming to PSVR, which I think is probably the most likely thing. This could be some sort of partnership between Valve and Xbox, which we know Phil and Gabe have been pretty close for a while now. So those are the three options. What do you think, Mike? I mean, I just think probably Half-Life Alyx and PSVR.
Maybe. I think a deal between Microsoft would be more feasible because we've seen a lot of that in the past between the two companies.
Yeah.
But again, Valve doesn't make fucking games anymore. That was what I told you. I was like, lol, quote, Valve games. Like, they just don't exist anymore. Like, what are you going to do? Port Dota to Xbox?
Well, I mean, Half-Life
You
Alyx
got
is really.
remaster CS:GO and bring it to Xbox and PlayStation? Like, no,
I
you're
mean,
not
I
going
think the
to do
mindset is that they're starting to make games again after the success of Half-Life Alyx. Now, will they only be VR games? That's yet to be determined. I don't know if a
it. And
real
Xbox
Half-Life
doesn't
3.
have a VR component.
That's the other thing. Could it be coming? Could they announce it kind of at the same time? That'd be a nice little one-two punch over there from Microsoft, being like,
Or
yeah,
even better, maybe they don't even need a proprietary headset. Maybe just add compatibility with the Index.
yeah. I mean, and they definitely need a cheaper option as well. Whether Microsoft makes it or Steam, because you're selling a $500 console, and then you got
You don't have a
$1,000.
cheaper option. You should be able to use the more expensive one if you already have it.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
yes, but you should also.
Yes.
It
No,
shouldn't
of
just
course.
be solely indexed. Either if Valve makes a cheaper option, like lower quality or whatever, or
Right.
just have support for some of the Windows mixed media VRs or whatever the hell they're called.
I think it could definitely be a launch title for the PSVR too. I think that's
Yeah,
a high
that's what I was thinking. But then again,
how advanced that's going to be from the original
that's probably going
PSVR.
to be early 2022. So that's definitely an option as well. You could have it get announced at like the Game Awards, and then be like, yeah, coming out next year. I think that's probably the most likely Half-Life Alyx on PSVR. I gotta imagine Sony wanted to make some sort of deal to get that over after the success, because it was probably the biggest PC VR game.
Gotta be. I don't think they have the money to make Half-Life exclusive. Truly, I don't think they.
I
have
don't
that
think
kind
either. I think just really funding the port over to PlayStation would all it'd be. I don't think exclusive. I think that'd be out of the reach from what they'd want to pay.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean that's obviously we'll have to wait and see. It's definitely a pretty
And
vague
knowing
comment.
Gabe Newell, it could just be that one comment, and then no Valve.
Oh,
games ever
it
come
could just be like the card game that they made like last year. You'd be like, yeah, we got the card game coming to consoles.
No, they killed that. That game isn't even being developed on it
Oh
anymore.
shit.
It bombed so hard.
Yeah, I mean it would be cool to see them like come out and be like, yeah, here's Black Mesa, which obviously I know Valve didn't make that, but they did. I believe they gave some funding to it, and they actually let them make it. Obviously, they didn't take it down.
I mean, and I personally, that's the way to play Half-Life 1.
Oh, I agree. That's how I played Half-Life 1. I never played it prior to that. I went into Black Mesa and experienced it and had a great time.
It's a great game.
Yeah. So,
Maybe that could come to console.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You could do something like that. I mean, if Half-Life 3... I think Half-Life 3 is coming. After... I think Half-Life Alyx was kind of that thing to be like, oh, is the fan base still there? The fan base is still there. Yeah, I think Alyx made that very clear, that there is still an audience for it. And I think Microsoft might have that checkbook out and be like, yo, let's get a console game going. Let's make Half-Life 3 a reality. Or even if it's like a Half-Life 2 remake or something like that, just to even more gauge how much the fan base is really there.
I don't think you need a remake of Half-Life 2.
Oh, Half-Life 2 looks great still. I played that a few years ago.
Even if you're not a PC player, I mean, like, I still have a copy of the Orange Box for 360, and that's backwards compatible on my One and Series X.
That's true.
So I can still play those games, and they look fucking great on console. So I think Half-Life 3 would definitely be the preferred thing here. But listen, man, I will never make a prediction about Half-Life 3 in my life, ever. I can't. You can be bold if you want to, because you seem to have that kind of tenacity to today, but I will never make a fucking stand. I will never take a stance on Half-Life 3's development or release. I can't. I have been through all of it. I have been alive for the entirety of this story. So I know it's not gonna fucking happen, probably. But if it does, hell yeah. Like, I am there for it immediately. I've just lost hope. I mean, how could I not have?
That's fair. It's fair to lose hope, but hope must prevail.
Left 4 Dead is so dead that it's coming back by a different name, by, different publisher. I mean, I don't think they have much interest in most of their franchises anymore that aren't like a recurring revenue stream. But they gotta understand, if they did make Half-Life 3, that'd be like an instant 10 million copies sold. They forget how much recognition they still have.
Yeah. And especially, like, dude. I think they're making a return. I think they've realized in the last couple years that they can't just stand here and be a giant and do nothing. I think I know people like to laugh at like the whole Epic Games scenario, but I do think they actually have a little bit of concern and they feel a little bit of urgency to show that they're still caring about video games and that they still want to make some games. And I do think we're going to see some projects start to actually come to fruition. I mean, I don't think we're going to be seeing a new Counter-Strike game anytime soon because that game's player base is still insane. But I think in the next
ruined now that it's free to
8
play,
years, I think they will want to update it somehow. I don't know how they'll actually do it, but in some way.
Counter-Strike on console though is just
oh yeah,
look, you can have it, but you could never introduce crossplay.
Yeah,
ever, fucking never. No console player should ever go up against a PC player in FPS. I truly believe that. It's an unfair advantage. And I have friends on PC that cry about aim assist, and it's like, bro.
Well, the way COD did it, I liked
compared to the precision of a keyboard and mouse.
I like the way that COD did it because COD did it so that you could play it, like you could set it up so you could do crossplay if you have a controller plugged in, but only if you had the controller. If you had the mouse, you would only play with other people with mouses. But if you had a controller plugged in on your PC, and yeah, sure, there'd still be a little bit of advantage because you might have more FPS or whatever. But it would at least be controller versus controller, so it felt more fair and less toxic.
Yeah.
But that is my piece on the situation. I do think something's happening from Valve in the next couple of years.
I sure fucking hope so. I'm just not going to make any predictions.
You guys have heard it here first. Half-Life 3, exclusive to the GamePreview.com. We have our coverage starting right now. I actually have the copy right here, guys.
Yeah, just please ignore Frank's schizophrenia. Everyone it tends to come out at the end of these episodes. Talks to Gabe Newell in his sleep.
Gabe? All right. Well, on that note, guys, thank you for watching. Thank you for enjoying our discussion of Resident Evil and our rants at the end. On that note, we will see you next week. Have a good one.
Thank you for watching.